Welcome everybody to episode 179 of the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. We are your host, Adam, Amy, and Russell Gibson. Russell rocking the MJ rookie t-shirt.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say,
Happy
I don't
New
have
Year,
my...
mate.
I've got an NBA Champions Lakers thing on. Not
Not
my
bad.
Christmas present, which was a Scottie Pippen jersey.
It's a very thoughtful Christmas present.
Yeah.
It's almost like your better half is listening to you when you babble on about basketball cards.
When I talk about the things that I enjoy and like and stuff.
Ugh.
Pretty handy. How are we? Happy New Year.
Yeah, very much Happy New Year. I say we just get straight to it because there's no way we're going to get through this run sheet today. So
let's get started.
Our first story is all about contrast. We're going to talk about the growth of PSA, and then we're going to follow that up with the Beckett CEO pleading guilty to fraud. It's an interesting little tidbit, I think.
Oh boy.
Righty, so PSA is growing, and I think the best way to categorize or summarize this is just, to me, it's just logical that they would start to do this around the world. So basically what they're doing is they're going to have a PSA Canada office, so then people can do submissions into that. And then the plan in the future is to then go into Europe and go into Japan. So then people can drop off and post cards into these locations here.
Yep.
The interesting one for me with Japan is obviously the location. I think strategically, so throughout that sort of Asia Pacific area.
I was surprised we didn't get a look in.
I feel like Japan can also cater for Australia too.
It's
APAC,
not Asia Pacific.
It's not that far away, is it? I think from my sort of own OCD and my love of Japan is that they very much do have an attention to detail. They really do appreciate the finer points of it. And I think in terms of, don't want to be a dick about this, but in terms of, fraudulent cards and stuff like that, I think it's better in Japan than in China.
That's valid point.
Yeah. Again, also too, from a personality standpoint, I kind of feel like the Japanese would just absolutely nail this out of the park.
Yeah. Agreed.
They do love attention to detail. They do love process, all that type of, high technology stuff. That to me just definitely makes sense. The Toronto thing, I think that's a little bit of a soft launch. I think that's, that's money for jam for them to do that. It still
makes sense.
In America, they'll spread out in that space and then they'll sort of start moving out around the world. Look, maybe Australia gets a look in one day.
Part of the next wave of expansion, maybe.
Where are you at with this? How do you feel about it?
It's not a surprise to me. If you look at the numbers that come through every month from our friends at GemRate about what's happening grading numbers-wise, it was bound to happen. Like, it's the rate at which PSA are growing, you've got to make allowances for that. And I think that's part of their plan to be the market leader. And they've kept their foot on the accelerator these past 5 years.
I think how I feel about this is that, to me, it's a risk they didn't really need to take. It's like everything for PSA is going so well. Everyone just makes the effort to bring the cards to them. Like, why do they need to make the effort?
Do you think it's making things easier for them?
I don't think so. I feel like if you've got this massive, central headquarters, apparently they've got this thing the size of a football field for their processing plant. Like, why do they need to take it out? So what I take away from this is that they view the hobby as being very strong. And obviously, they would only do this if they're going to make money off it. So again, moving into the future, they obviously see big things. So again, for all the people who are poo-pooing, saying the hobby is going terribly, all that type of stuff, I think this is a really positive thing for the hobby moving forward. So,
do you think it's a proactive move? I'm just pointing out and noticing that TCG, there is growth as far as grading numbers going and things expanding over the last few years. So maybe they're getting ahead here and growing in expectation of increased demand.
So at the Christmas party that we went to, that was, for me, that was the takeaway that I had from it, is that the guys who were flipping cards were moving out of flipping NBA and going to Pokemon because there's just exponentially more activity happening at the moment in Pokemon. Yeah. And then talking to the guys from Fast Break, they were talking about getting their hands to sell Pokemon sealed boxes in their shop, and it's literally just impossible to get your hands on that stuff at the moment. So to take your point, also the Japanese point, that actually makes a lot of sense too, doesn't it? So they might not be grading basketball cards, particularly in Japan. Maybe they'll be doing just Pokemon.
Wonder if
and that's
Japan,
fine.
Japan location is very near the Pokemon Center in Japan.
Yeah, look, and if PSA believes the Fanatics edict that the hobby's only going to grow, well then, this is great. It's all good news all around.
Yeah.
Alrighty, this article was actually published mid to late November, so we probably should have picked this up a little bit earlier. This is by Rich Mueller. CEO of Beckett parent company pleads guilty in insurance fraud case. He's pleaded guilty to a $2 billion fraud and money laundering scheme, defrauded various insurance companies, other third parties, and ultimately thousands of insurance policyholders. He is the longtime CEO of Global Growth, which owns numerous companies, including Beckett. So, my sort of takeaway from this is that we were talking about Beckett's hold on the grading sphere with Ryan. And did you hear what Ryan was talking about?
I listened to that episode with you and Ryan. It was great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Ryan was fantastic.
I agree with a couple of the points that were raised there with regards to moving that asset on as well. Maybe this has got something to do with that.
That's I 100%. And it also makes sense to me too that you've got a guy who's balls deep in money laundering and insurance fraud. So why is he interested in innovating a grading company? Like, if your headspace is definitely elsewhere, and it also sounds like too he's CEO of a few different companies.
Yeah.
So he's flipped. And so my take was, why is he selling this distressed asset? Okay, so that explains this part. Like, clearly he needs to pay for his legal fees and probably, compensate some people. Like, that all makes sense. It also makes sense.
If he's a CEO, maybe they're selling because it'll distress the asset further when this comes to light. That's why they moved. Yeah.
Sure. I'm assuming he's got some sort of ownership stake in all of this too. I feel like these days, CEOs with their bonuses and all the rest of it, there's no way he hasn't got, some type of vested interest in this.
Yep. But I think they're trying, the rest of the board will be trying to get out to sort of get something back rather than watch it go for nothing if he takes the ship down, so to speak.
So look, actually, I feel like this is a little bit of a positive thing for Beckett. If you're getting out a dirty rat from your group, you don't need this person representing you. And clearly he hasn't got the best interest of your company at heart here. I think this is a fantastic thing for Beckett. So for all you Beckett homeboys out there, you must be high-fiving each other at this point in time. The other thing to high-five about too is the maximum penalty of 5 years for conspiracy and 10 years for money laundering. So this guy actually might be away for
quite a while.
A decent chunk of change, which is kind of interesting in itself, isn't it? Final thoughts before we move on from this one.
It's a good thing for the hobby. It gives an opportunity, especially like you and Ryan were talking, it gives something fresh to Beckett. So
yeah, I think for me, it's a little bit of a slap in the face for the hobby in one way, because it's like the people that you trust to verify and make sure things are all well and good in the hobby, and then you've got someone actually who's very dishonest there. So I think you can also look at it from that point of view to say, has it actually discredited and, brought down their brand? Look, I hope that isn't what the outcome is, because I think we really do need a second piece of competition against PSA, and hopefully BGS will be that.
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's move on, mate. The next one is talking about incorrect patches being put into cards from Panini. The person I would like to credit in terms of doing this content well is our friend who's been on the podcast, Matt from Matt's Card Shop. So check him out on YouTube at Matt's Card Shop, MATTSCARDSHOP. He did some good content on this because he didn't do it in the way of like people cutting up cards and burning cards and throwing in the bin, all that type of stuff. Actually, what he did, really practically was he took a torch, he shone it up from the bottom of the card, and then you could actually read very faintly the printing, which is actually on the patch. So it says whose patch this belongs to.
Yeah, because so then you can say, got like a white one because it shows better. It's got transparency to it.
Yeah, and so then that way you don't need to destroy your cards to work it out, and you can actually then decide whether your card has the player in it that it's supposed to be in there or not. So
yeah, I mean, if it's a good card, you probably don't want to do that. But hell, if it's not a great card, it'd be fun cutting up a basketball card, wouldn't it?
Even for me, look, I feel guilty throwing away base cards. Like I'm very, very reluctant to throw cards away. It's just one of those things for me. It's just a no-go. So cutting up a patch, even if it is a napkin patch, I just can't do it. I don't understand, people burning jerseys and all that type of stuff. Like, give it to someone else.
Basketball cards, I've just to see how the different types of cards burn.
Did you record it at least for, scientific
No, it was more around a
proof or
campfire.
something?
We're just flicking them into the fire.
Were beverages involved in this experiment?
There may have been other beverages of requiring an age limit.
Yeah.
Being met, yeah.
All right. Yeah. So how I feel about this, I'm not surprised by this at all. This to me is just another thing where Panini are just like lazy. Like, let's be honest here. They've done a few things over the years that have let's just add this to the lazy bucket with Panini.
Yeah.
I don't really care about this.
They've got not long. They've got, what, a year to go?
Yeah, this is it. It's the last year.
We're in 2025. This is the last year of Panini.
I don't really care about this if it's a associated or non-game worn patch. However, if it's a game worn patch that I'm buying, I would like it to be from that player. Like that to me would be, so I'll talk about my own PC because it's easier to relate this.
Yeah.
If I'm buying De'Aaron Fox cards, I want it to be a game worn De'Aaron Fox, not a Dayron Sharp game worn in a De'Aaron Fox. Like that actually is a little bit tweaking my OCD, if that makes sense.
No doubt whatsoever. Yep.
Where are you at with this, man?
It's just not cool. Like if you're gonna put something in that says it, like it's representative of a player, don't shortcut it. And just because it's your last year, we know how these things go. Like you might get the license back. Tops were out for a while. Now tops are back. You know what I mean? Like it's swings and roundabouts. I wouldn't taint our hobby just because you lost the license.
I actually agree with that take a lot. I think that's a really good take. I think just because you're going to be losing your job, it doesn't mean you post in the last 2 weeks while you're on notice, right? Does it? Because there's your next job coming, your reputation.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, technically, they're not out of the hobby. WNBA, they've kept that.
So, yeah.
Which is going great guns. And I think that product could be slightly improved. Not to segue too much, but the patches in that are actually, I've never actually seen a game worn or game used WNBA patch.
Yeah.
Out of ultra modern Panini. So that would be great if they did fix that up. So to take your point, that would be great. There's a few other things they're keeping too.
Yeah. I mean,
that sort of second league UFC they've signed, the EuroLeague stuff they've kept. Like,
they're not exiting the hobby altogether.
And they'll work out something out. That's the other thing too.
Of course. They're going to be a presence. And if they're tainting their image on the way out for basketball, then it doesn't bode well for them moving forward because the having the trust of the people is very important.
The really funny thing about this article, it actually says here that they take real jerseys. Do you actually believe that they are real?
I do.
I'm sort of at that point now. I'm so skeptical or, disbelieving opinion. I actually think they're just like, they've just bought 1,000 NBA jerseys. Maybe they're not even NBA jerseys to save money.
Oh, okay.
And then they cut it up and put it into the jersey. Because if you think about it, like if it's just a straight napkin patch, like that really could be cloth from anything.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, would you really put it past them that it's just a piece of cloth? And also, what's at that point?
I'd really like to hope that it's not.
But what's the difference between a piece of cloth and a piece of jersey when it's not associated, not game worn at that point anyway? Like, actually, what's the difference?
So, like, just getting like a random bit of tea towel or something and just chucking it into a basketball card.
Yeah, for those napkin patch ones, 100%. I think for the your 2-color and your 3-color patches, like that makes sense that would come off an NBA jersey. I think that has to be.
What do you reckon? People just go down to the local market and buy a knockoff jersey and just put a slab of material from it in.
I'm almost taking this a step further to say it's not even a knockoff jersey. It's just like a piece of cloth.
It's just a bit of material. It's like, what do they wear? Green. Okay, let's get green and just chuck it in.
Yeah.
Wow. No, surely there'd be some level of quality control at Panini where that stuff would need to be documented to an extent. I say surely, and then we find out things aren't really well documented.
Yeah, so the example they had in this is that it just showed the team colors, basically.
Yeah.
The Washington Commanders, maroon, that was it.
Yeah.
But you could stick that onto any piece of maroon fabric.
That's true.
Right?
It's true.
Because if we're accusing them of laziness, no, think about it. It takes a lot of effort to get a jersey, cut it up, lay it out nice and flat, put the stickers on, right? Wouldn't it make sense? You've just got a piece of fabric coming off like a big looped fabric roll, and then you sort of put the sticker onto it like that. Like, imagine like the volume they'd be doing for this.
Yeah.
All right. Final thoughts, and let's go to our first break.
Final thoughts. Yeah, I'd like to hope that Panini have more integrity than that. That's all I've got. I would like to hope that Panini have more integrity than that.
Okay. Sorry, maybe I'm being a party pooper right now. I apologize.
I don't know. I
try to keep things positive, but
no, I would worry if they don't. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's terrifying. Yeah.
Alrighty, Fast Break Trading Cards. Thank you so much for your ongoing love and support. It's fantastic having you on as a sponsor. Check out Fast Break Trading Cards at 75 Tulip Street in Cheltenham. Fridays, 12 to 6 p.m. Saturday, 9 to 5 p.m. Sunday, 10 to 4. You can also contact them, 9968 550 is their phone number. 03 would be the area code for that. Now, guys, when you get into their shop, you will find an amazing selection of singles in a locked up case. You'll also find a large selection of sealed product, and they've also done this really well. And this is what I want to talk about. I was in their shop this week. They've got $1 boxes, $5 boxes, $10 boxes, $20 and above, just so you can sit there and flick through them all. They've got NBA, Pokemon, Pretty sure they got some baseball and some NFL. They've got TVs up on the wall. You can just go there and relax for a couple of hours, watch some sport, talk to the guys behind the desk. They're always happy to have a chat with you. Fantastic environment and culture down there. It's what you want to see in a trading card shop. Again, 75 Tulip Street, Cheltenham, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is their opening days and hours. Thank you again, Fast Break Trading Cards. Alrighty, we're back. Adam, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very, very, very well. Feeling refreshed.
Great. We are going to talk about the All-Star voting, the new configuration. We'll give you a bit of an update on the All-Star votes, and we'll pick out a couple of players to talk about in terms of their card values. So this year, it's going to be done a little bit differently. Basically, how it will be is the top 24 vote getters will go into a pool. Then those players are drafted into 4 teams.
Yep.
Each 4 teams will play 3 games in a type of small round robin pickup games, if you want to call it that. And there's not actually timed games. It's the first team to 40. That's when the game ends. So I really like, the thing I like about this the most is that it's the top 24 vote getters, because sometimes I feel like people are put in positionally and then someone else gets knocked out when they probably should be there. So in my head, the best 24 players will be there. I think that's really important to me. So I like that a lot.
Yep. I think it's positive that more players are getting recognition, but
yeah.
I mean,
and the other thing I like too is I feel like this is a little bit simpler to follow, whereas last year with the points going backwards and upwards and downwards, and then the time was extended at the end of the game, that was all a little bit too confusing and hard for me.
Wait, what? Points up and down? What?
Remember they had last year, they had that thing where you had to like get to a certain point number?
You just need to win by 24 at the wasn't it? First one to 24.1? I don't know.
Maybe it was the year before. Anyway, I think this is a good solution. I think this is a really good suggestion. I kind of feel like it's going to fail, though. I don't imagine it's going to be back again, but, you know, who cares? Let's just,
do you know what's going to happen?
See how it all goes.
It's going to turn into a big 3-on-3 tournament next time. I would be down for that, by the way.
It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Imagine the All-Star game being a 3-on-3 tournament. Interesting.
Alrighty, the top 10 vote getters are Giannis, Nikola Jokic, Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, LeBron James. This is the big riser this year. Karl Anthony Towns at 6th place with 1.8 million votes. SGA at 1.8 million. Wemby at 1.6. That's awesome to see him in the All-Star game. Anthony Davis at 1.5 million. And the 10th, which is a little bit surprising for me, LaMelo Ball at nearly 1.5 million. Yeah.
That is surprising.
Yeah, really surprising. So I thought we'd pick out a couple of guys to talk about from that top 10 list. And the 3 that I picked out is Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Davis, and SGA. So hopefully all of my links are working. Now, I thought we'd do Karl Anthony Towns first because this is somebody who, in terms of hobby value, he was the number 1 overall pick. There was a lot of hype going to this guy. And obviously hype also means money.
Yeah, of course.
And then obviously he is, you know, absolutely down in the dumps. But maybe this is a nice little opportunity to get into the Karl Anthony Towns market for a little bit of a rise up at the moment. So he came into the league 2016, 2015, my mistake. His all-time high was $1,400. So we're not talking, you know, Luka numbers by any phase, but obviously he had his peak in 2021. I think his reasonable pricing was sort of in 2018, 2019, when he was around that sort of $250 to $600 range. Like, I think that's reasonable for someone of his sort of prospecting status. Currently, he's trading at $240. If you go to the last 3 months, he's actually up 31%. So that makes sense with the extra exposure he's getting in New York and also the All-Star votes that he's picked up. So I think whoever was been buying him the last 4 months, that's a really shrewd little purchase there, like in terms of, you know, reading the market and reading the tea leaves, you know, so to speak. So look, at 200, 250, I don't have a problem with this at all. I could imagine this is going to get to 350, maybe 380, 400 at sort of the top end. So I think that's a fun little pickup there.
Well, over the last 12 months, he's actually, it's pretty much even. It's about down 5%. So
yeah, interesting. Population on this for PSA is just 167, so it's not huge on that. We probably should look at BGS. It's 300. So if you sort of add those two together, yeah, it's still
pretty reasonable.
A quarter of a Luka, isn't it?
Well, looking at the total pop, 800, total gems 495, so less than 500 gems. That is in the 9 and 9.5. the 9 and above, isn't it? Gem rate.
I think that's what they did change the number to now. Yeah.
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 So it's 9, 9.5, and I don't know, maybe it's 10s and 9.5s.
Should have asked Ryan this last week. Eh?
Yeah. No, I'm just doing quick maths, but yeah, I think that would be it. 9.5 and up.
Alrighty. This next one is actually Anthony Davis. This is from Card Letter Headlines. Anthony Davis, 2012 Prism, gold number to 10, BGS 9.5, population 3 on this. Obviously, it's going to be low pop. This last sold for 17,080. I actually have no troubles with this at all. I think AD is an all-NBA guy. I think the gold do very well, and this sort of low-numbered Prism stuff is, in my head, long-term holds, long-term purchases. I think it's money in the bank per se. So interesting, like to me, that I was expecting him to have more of a spike after they won their championship. So it's a bit of a dynamic one for me that he's rising up now.
Yeah.
When nothing's really happened for him sort of the last couple of years. Like if anything, I feel like the Lakers have sort of stagnated a little bit. They haven't.
He started the year strong.
Yeah,
AD
really strong.
did.
Look,
Yeah.
I think he's playing really well. And, I think in terms of him fulfilling his talent, I think if his career ended in the next couple of years, you wouldn't really say he didn't, get to his peak. I think he's played well. I think he's had injury problems, definitely, but
For sure.
yeah. So look, I'm going to put my helicopter hat on here and sort of, just zoom out a little bit. I actually wonder if this is more something about the hobby and that people are now starting to value that low numbered stuff a lot more.
Yeah.
The black golds, the golds, of course, the nebulas and the blacks and all that type of stuff. But I sort of feel like that sort of higher value is also now being accrued to golds. And I really think, there's so much stuff to pick up in the hobby these days. And, once it all starts to, zoom down and we sort of move forward in the years, the kabooms, the downtowns, the blank slates, the golds, the black golds. I think that's the stuff that people are going to be holding on and collecting. So I think that's a really good pickup. So congratulations to that. The third guy on the list here is SGA. So this is from @ThunderFocus on Twitter. SGA, since Chet Holmgren has gone down, 33.8 points per game, 6.1 assists, 5.8 rebounds, 2.3 steals, 1.2 blocks, which is insane. 53% from the field, 39% on 3-point attempts on 6.7 attempts a game. So it's high, but not crazy high. 64% true shooting and a 16-3 record. So I think this is the perfect time to check out his silver rookie card, which is sitting at population of 677, excuse my speech then, and is now trading at $700. In the last 3 months, this is up 16%. We've been talking about this card not a lot this year, but enough. I feel like we've spoken about this.
Enough? A lot?
I shouldn't say this year, really, should I? I should say this season. We've been talking about Shea a lot this season. And I'm not surprised that he's got this upward trend. And I feel like we spoke about this and we sort of said, could this be $1,000 card, didn't we?
I think we were trying to figure out where it sits and where he sits.
Yeah.
I think is the best way to characterize it, because he's a great player. Now he's up. It's funny over the last year even, but he's now come up to 700, which I'm just going to say is that Tatum range, because we use that as the barometer, right?
I think Tatum is a great barometer. Yeah.
And I don't disagree. I think last time we sort of talked about it, it was in that $600 range and it was on the rise. So I actually think that $700 price, and I don't doubt it. If he wins the MVP, that goes higher.
Yeah, I think where my head is with the Thunder is I'm becoming a true believer in that team, because
this is how you get hurt, Russell. This is how, as soon as you start believing in them and they let you down.
I think my thing with the Thunder is that I think they're coached really well. And I think the synergy between the coach and the front office is, huge. Not all teams have, let me rephrase that. Very, very few teams have that. The other thing, I've been watching probably more Thunder than I care to admit. I think the other thing about that team is their chemistry.
Yep.
If you could measure chemistry, I actually don't know any team that has half of the chemistry that team has. Like, their post-game interviews are almost becoming like legendary, the way that they're just so happy together. I just don't think you can sort of measure that, right?
Yep.
So add that, plus the youth of the team, plus they've currently got their second best player out. Let's just call Chet the second best player. If you could say to me, they're the third best player, I wouldn't even argue, but That's fine. Like, whatever,
Whatever. Yeah.
Your second or third best player, they're out. They're still playing this well. They're all young. They're going to keep getting better as they grow together. Plus all the assets they're going to add into this. Like, how can you not be optimistic about this team?
Yeah. Yep.
So I really think you can apply that to his popularity, moving forward too. So
he's a key part of this success on this team.
Yeah.
For sure.
Honestly, I think this guy has a buy, and I think this is going to still go up. I think the only reason why I'm not super high on this is because when you go back 2 years, that was probably the time we should have been jumping up and down about all of this. And again, if we had read the tea leaves better, I think that would have been better. But, so look, if you guys are going out now and buying these and picking them up, I don't have a problem with this, like, at all.
Yeah.
Probably my only thing is like, percentage-wise, how much more is this going to be going up?
Yep.
I don't think this is like home run stuff. Yeah.
I don't think it's home run stuff, and I think you're right to have that optimistic view of the Thunder, and I understand why. Now they're the best team in the West, right? As far as, if not the best team in the league on paper. Like,
look,
their record, the way they've been playing, they've been together for long enough.
Until they beat the Celtics, I feel like that's unfair to say that they're the best team in the league.
Well, they've got one of the best records. They've got the top two as far as records go, right?
Definitely. No, if you say that, I'll be like 100%. But you know what I mean? Like, so, we have to respect the Celtics a little bit.
Sure. Well, we don't have to. We can throw shade wherever. Anyway, the thing I'm concerned that worries me is, what are their assets? It's something like, is it 28 first round picks or something crazy?
Yeah, it's come back a little bit, but yeah, that's correct.
So if they don't, like, I'm worried that they're just going to waste those picks. I think they need to, if they need to step up a level, they need to, whatever they do with their assets to take that next step needs to be smart. And I feel like if they make the wrong move, they could fall very quickly. Because that could upset that chemistry thing.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, that doesn't stress me, even if they do make a couple of mistakes here and there. Because actually, what's going to be really fun to like watch is their pick swaps. So that could be really interesting. In 3 or 4 years down the road, they might be getting, say, the number 1 pick or the number 2 pick, and you can't really muck that up. Even if you muck up 20 other picks, then if something just falls into their lap that's too good to be true, and even I could get it right. Do you know what I mean?
True.
So
I'm more concerned with. Yeah. I'm more concerned with and them screwing it up. Is what I mean is they end up trying to go for Jimmy Butler for argument's sake.
Yeah, sure.
And they throw a bunch of picks at Miami.
Sure.
To get the superstar to get them over the line, and the superstar destroys their chemistry.
Yeah, sure.
That'd be my. I hope they don't make that mistake.
My counter argument to that would be that they literally gave away Josh Giddey for not much at all. And I think the reason why they did that was for chemistry and floor spacing reasons. So I feel like if they can make a decision like that, it gives me confidence that they won't do something too stupid for chemistry moving forward. I feel like they're going to consider all of that. Yeah.
If we have to do an emergency pod about Jimmy Butler going to the Oklahoma City Thunder, we'll revisit this point.
Alrighty, we are going to go for our second break, and we're going to talk about our friends, the Melbourne Cartel. Thank you to Darren and the Melbourne Cartel for your support. We are very, very grateful for you. Check out melbournecartel.au. Once you get there, you'll be able to find a whole bunch of repacks. NFL, AFL, UFC, NBA. The Hitman range are all $35. Darren's aim is to get repacks into people's hands at an affordable level. And the way that he builds his repacks is built in a 1-in-4 ratio. So basically, 1 in every 4 packs should have a very nice card in it. He also doesn't like to bottom out his repacks, so he likes to try and keep the average up in there. The other thing that's really important for his product, and also the reason why we took Darren and the Melbourne Cartel on as sponsors, is that every single card that goes into his repacks is in a list and is available for everybody to look at, and you'll find that on the website. Now, for our listeners at home, Darren has also hit you up with a 10% discount. Use the code COMPTHIS10 at checkout, and you'll get 10% off all of your purchases, including repacks, card accessories, and also all of your protection needs. Thank you very much to the Melbourne Cartel for your ongoing support. Adam, we are back. How are you, buddy?
I'm great. We're over the halfway mark.
Yeah. Alrighty. Now, this next one from the Australian Sports Card Scammers Exposed page. Now, this is a page on Facebook. The idea behind this page is for education purposes and also to hold people accountable when they're running scams and to inform other collectors of what's been going on and who to avoid. Now, this one is not actually calling out a person per se. Well, it did. It was a bad deal, but it was something that I want to talk to you about because we've been talking about this the last couple of weeks. So this is about somebody buying a raw blank slate online.
Yeah.
And then when it arrived to him, it just seemed a little bit off. And when he looked further into it, actually it turned out to be a counterfeit card. So
wow.
If you would like to find this, you just need to go on to the Australian Sports Card Scammers Exposed page. I'll put the link into the podcast description, of course. The other thing that you'll be able to find on that post comments is obviously the eBay seller. I've reached out to them to see if they would have a chat to us about how they came across selling it. Unfortunately, they've declined to engage, but hopefully they'll respond to my questions or invitation soon. But looking at it, now issues are highlighted and, explained to you, it's kind of, you can see it. And I suppose also too, once it's in your hand, you would have a better idea, but it's a pretty decent fake.
Yeah. I'm showing
I can kind of understand how you would get not tricked by that, but how you could purchase that online.
Yeah, that scares me.
I think the reason why I put this into the show list is not so much to humiliate somebody or, point out that somebody's done something wrong. It's more just that
it's awareness more than anything, isn't it?
It's awareness, but also too, I just feel like that to me is a really good fake. That's how I feel about this.
Yeah.
They've got the hollow stuff in it, it's got the indentations in it, it's got the gold lettering. It's not just someone's, printed this on their home computer and chopped it up and sent it out onto eBay. I feel like, a decent amount of effort has gone into this to do it. So
yeah, that's crazy.
I think that's the part that probably worries me the most is that, we spoke about this with the Prism, the fake Wemby base rookies. And
I'm just trying to look at I'm looking at the photos and it just scares me.
Yeah, because I think if I looked at that online, I just wouldn't be that stressed about it before I bought it. So I understand how that, transaction could have gone through. But yeah, that's my perspective. It's just that I just think they're getting so good now. And it's just, I think you really do have to do your diligence a bit around what the card looks like. And that's what we spoke about on the last time too, just knowing what the product should look like. Having your source of trust, your source of truth. That's the right word, isn't it?
Yeah. It's and once again, we've talked about, there's a lot of different topics in this area. And obviously we don't want to rehash it over and over again, but the thing that upsets me with this stuff is it's the intent. Because I know there are people that make custom cards and they'll be like, oh, but we just do this because we love the player we like and we make stuff for ourselves. No problem. This is a replica of a card. I'm looking at the back of the card now, and it's a reproduction of the actual blank slate.
So you say replica, I'd say counterfeit. What's the difference? Cool.
But it's not the original. It's not an original card. But on the back, it's got the trademarks and the copy. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I think they're doing that to trick you.
To deceive. The intent is to deceive the person that it's the blank slate.
Definitely.
If someone comes out and goes, look at this cool Ja Morant custom card I made, and it's on the back, it's got nothing to do with Panini, and do you know what I mean? There's a custom bit of artwork, sure, but when you're replicating cards that actually exist, are produced by a company, and you're including those trademarks and license things to convince somebody that this is that product, that's fraud.
Yeah, I suppose I think the criticism of Panini in this space is that they've never done anything to protect their trademark.
Yep.
And, I am not a Fanatics homeboy in any sense. And I've said my concerns about Fanatics and what they're going to do to the hobby. And we can talk about Topps Cosmic if you want as an example of, things not going right. Let's not do that. Anyway, what I do want to say, though, is that Fanatics will be protecting their copyright. So maybe actually this is something, we'll see change for the good, in that they'll
Possibly.
actually be actively seeking out these people to remove them from the marketplaces, to
Yeah.
get these, cards off there. Because like Panini has been like zero communications around this ever. Have you ever heard them talk about them combating fakes? They don't do that stuff. They just sort of let it all play out, like literally like the Wild West. So going back, I'm sure you're going to love this, the regulation part. This is actually where we might see a bigger player in America, a bit, sort of closer to home,
Yeah.
sort of per se. They can control and regulate this a bit more. Yeah, look, you're emotional. Your response to it, I've got no problem with that, and I think it's the right response. But where I feel it's just like, how do I make sure that I'm getting what I'm paying for? That's the part that's really sort of unsettling in my mind, and it does put me off a little bit engaging in the hobby with people that I don't know
In an unprotected space, I guess.
in unprotected platforms. So I think that's the other thing too. It's like, it's kind of lucky this guy bought it off eBay, because then there was that refund policy,
bit of protection
firmly in place. Yeah. And so,
as
and that's
painful as
probably,
it can be.
yeah, and it's painful, but at the same time, at least there's some protection there for you. I mean, I would like to see people like this get removed from eBay platforms. Like, I know they could just open up a new account and all that type of stuff, but still,
But let them make them start from zero again.
yeah, I think that's what really should happen. And, maybe eBay needs to be held responsible too for that. Yeah.
Well, they need to do their part, really.
Let's give this post 3 minutes, because I feel like it's been given a lot of time on Sports Cards Nonsense. This is something I put up. One of a kind, John Stockton Lakers game worn patch autograph from that unforgettable time. He was traded with Karl Malone to the Lakers. A true eBay one of one for the ages. Hashtag you can't comp this. Hashtag fake patches. Hashtag basketball cards. So look, I had a lot of people messaging me on DM. Some not very nice things said about
this one.
One guy said that I shouldn't be reproducing, which is like, I feel like you went a little bit too far, buddy. I mean, look, I kind of felt like I had made enough jokes in this that it would be obvious that people would know this was a joke, but there was a lot of people that didn't realize it was a joke. And it kind of worries me, and there's actually some guy ranting an hour later and he still didn't realize it was a joke, which actually was kind of funny. But okay, so I'm just going to break it down for you guys. The parts that was intended to be
humorous,
fake truths.
Obviously, truths. Oh boy,
the Lakers game worn patch. Obviously, that's fake. The unforgettable time he was traded to Los Angeles. He was never traded to Los Angeles. A true eBay one of one. You all know how much I hate that eBay one of one phrase. And then I even put on their fake patches, but still, that wasn't enough.
But it's in the news. Fake patches are in the news.
True. Do you think that was misleading?
It might have got people's attention, thinking a Stockton patch. It may have people a bit sensitive at the moment about this issue.
This was also part of a double blind test where I put the same picture up with a different caption, so people could talk about their childhood memories.
Are you testing the algorithm?
It literally received 1% of the attention that this rage bait attracted. So not that really proves anything.
I chuckle a little bit, but I do notice a tendency towards people commenting on the negative rather than getting around good news stories. But
negative media, that's what we should call social media moving forward.
It is a little bit. Can be.
All right, third and final break time. US Sports Cards Australia. Thank you, Ross and Michael, for your support. You know how much I love you too. Go to ussportscardsaustralia.com.au. You will find a whole bunch of stuff on there. Hobby boxes for sale, breaks listed on there, wrestling, UFC, ice hockey, baseball you can also get from the lads on there. What I do want to talk about today, though, is his Check Out My Cards Australia. So that is a consignment service. Ross actually said to me he has had huge numbers of cards being sent to him, and he's about 3,000 cards behind. So he said to me he's got about 4,000 cards on there. He's got about another 3,000 to go on. He's very, very excited about the whole process. It's all moving in the right direction. If you go onto ussportscardsaustralia.com.au, click on the three little noodles. There's two tabs you can click on. Check Out My Cards Australia, which is where you'll find the submission forms. If you want to browse through the singles, just go to singles category. That's where you can buy them all. Now, Ross has got a little bit of OCD going on here. So once you click on the singles category, it's all broken down into the different sports and then also into the different years. So you can easily browse and scan your way through the cards that you want to find. and would like to purchase. So, Ross, keep up the great work with your website, mate. I know you've sunk many hours and frustrating times into it, but it's all starting to come up good. Alrighty, Adam, this is our last segment of today. I'm going to change up the sheet a little bit. And the next thing we're going to do is Zach Edey, because I just really liked the way he pushed around Draymond Green the other day. So I just want to talk about that on the podcast. It was just fantastic.
Now, this is Draymond, or?
Draymond tackled him from behind, and then Edey just stood up to him. And Draymond actually looked like a child. I think Edey's going to be a beast. All right, let's just go straight into it.
Do it.
So Zach Edey versus Draymond Green. Basically, it's just Draymond doing Draymond stuff, fouling people from behind, as he always does, going after rookies, as he always does, and then literally...
Does he always go after rookies? I thought he just goes after anyone. I didn't think he discriminated.
He definitely does. He always goes after the rookies, just like what KG used to do, right? Like, it was the same sort of bully mentality sort of stuff. Edey was just an absolute beast. He just stood there. And I got to be honest with you, I feel like Draymond backed off a little bit as Edey was coming towards him. So 10 points for Zach Edey, I'll say minus 2 points for Draymond, because it's not really that surprising he would do this type of stuff.
Doing Draymond. I'm watching the replay right now.
Yeah.
Oh, look, he probably got pushed by Edey or nudged, and we got a bit shirty about it.
No, I don't think so. I think Edey just bodied him out. He's just a child playing with a man, really, at that point.
Yeah, I feel like Draymond's got to control himself, doesn't he?
So look, okay, I've spoken about that part. I think the next part too is the Memphis Grizzlies. I think that's a sick front line. Edey and Triple J together is just my cup of tea. Big bodies, high basketball IQ, good fundamentals. In terms of floor spacing, I love that Triple J Zach Edey pairing. There's a lot to like.
I like it. I like it a lot.
So I think the other thing I want to mention just really quickly in this space too, it's just a change of an era. So we're looking at the standings right now. We've got Oklahoma City at the top, Houston Rockets at number 2 at 25-12. So congratulations to the Rockets. Memphis Grizzlies
I did not see that coming.
At 25-14, despite Ja Morant missing, a heap of games. Then let's just go down to 10th. We got the Warriors at 19-19. So, I think I've already said this on the show, so I'm not going to crap on about this too much longer, but I think it's just been a bit of the last couple of years has been hard for me watching the Warriors just sort of disintegrate, in front of your eyes. And I think this is just another thing. You've got Zach Edey just standing up to Draymond Green, which is not something that happened a couple of years ago,
Standing up to, is it the case of he's just old and slower, and he's not the Draymond of old? I mean, at least he's not kicking people in the groin.
I just don't think 6 years ago that would have happened. I think Draymond would have tackled him down to the ground 6 years ago, whereas now Edey just stood there.
Fair.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair.
It was just like a child trying to jump onto his back. It's just this is nothing.
To get off me, old man. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for letting me get that off my chest. I just really enjoyed that. So, alrighty, let's talk about Bradley Beal coming off the bench. So this is another interesting story for me, just in the sense that the Suns never really made 100% sense to me in terms of having Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and also Booker at the same time. So Beal coming off the bench to me makes a whole lot of sense. And so what the commentators have been saying about this, well, there's sort of 2 or 3 things that have been said. One, he's the highest person ever in terms of salary coming off the bench, and that's totally fine. The second thing is that now he's been assigned to defending and also shooting against bench players, which is a huge, advantage for that team. And I got to tell you, I actually don't understand why, more teams do this, because there's a blueprint for this, going back 30 years. So Kevin McHale used to come off the bench for the Celtics. And then also you got Manu Ginobili, who I would say very famously said that he wasn't happy coming off the bench. But at the same time, too, he was also happy winning all the championships that he did. And he goes down in history as one of the most winningest players ever. So it's not like you can't say to Bradley Beal, other players, haven't done this, and, you can't follow this example. I'd also say, too, I feel like the Phoenix Suns are at that point in the season where things aren't going the way that they wanted to go. They've spent an absolute bucket of money on this team. They've traded away all of their picks. They had to do something, to mix things up. So I actually love this. I kind of hate it that, NBA players get so mollycoddled sometimes. So, to me, this is really cool. Jusuf Nurkic is completely out of the Suns' rotation. That's the other change that they made. And then Basketball Forever came out with this story in that Bradley Beal has agreed to waive his no-trade clause to the Los Angeles Lakers, the Miami Heat, or the Denver Nuggets. So If he
That's
goes to
very.
the
It's
Heat,
interesting. That's a Jimmy Butler
yeah. So if he goes
carrot,
to the
if ever
Heat,
I've seen
I,
one.
I like this a lot. If he goes to the Nuggets, I think that would actually be really good because I think defensively, obviously, like he would have a few problems, and also how that would fit with Jamal Murray, I'm not too sure about. However, I get very excited about Nikola Jokic playing a 1-2,
With
like a two-man game with Beal. Like, I think that would be actually really difficult to defend. Moving on to impossible, actually. So that to me is like that's a really cool one.
Mm. I think
Do
Miami's an obvious. I think Miami's a possibility. It's the most realistic of the trades.
Yeah, I think for me the one that doesn't make sense though is like the culture part because we talk about Heat culture and the whole
But Jimmy wants out. Jimmy needs
yeah,
out.
definitely, and actually the salaries are relatively comparable.
Close, yeah.
Yeah. So let's just really quickly talk about Bradley Beal value. It's currently sitting at $125 for his 2012 silver PSA 10 Prism.
Yep.
Population on this is just 31. I feel like with all the hype, that we have these days with, rookies coming out of the gate and getting a whole bunch of cash, it's not probably the worst purchase to make. The only thing about this card that I'm sort of a little bit worried about is that every time frame that I've looked at, it's going down. The last 6 months down 47%. The last 3 months down 20%. The last year down 66%. The last 2 years 78%. It's like,
Can I make a joke?
how much more is this card going to go down before it becomes a good buy?
And it was close to April Fool's Day. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
There's a sale on the 9th of April 2021 and the all-time sales of this card where it sold for 10K. I kid you not. All-time data for the Bradley Beal PSA 10, April 9th, 2021, $10,000. That's it. I've got nothing else. Yep. It's like an April Fool's gag gone wrong.
Yeah, it's a crazy sale, but
Well, it's what? There's 10K and then surrounding it's 5,500 and 6,000.
that's right. I think it's a true sale.
Yeah, it's probably legit, but it's just like, I don't know. That's the COVID crazy, like just pointing it out. Like someone actually, yeah, it's cooked.
Alrighty, I promised not to talk about this guy, but I think we have to mention this. Zion Williamson has been put onto the trade market.
Trade market for Zion.
I think at this point in time, this is what he needs. He needs a fresh start. I don't know. I feel like his time in New Orleans is just about played out. I kind of also get the feeling they're going to blow this whole team up. This whole Brandon Ingram thing,
Not
I think
working.
he's going to get traded. I think once you get rid of Ingram, it doesn't make sense that CJ McCollum's there. Then they've kind of got Trey Murphy and Herb Jones waiting in the wings. Jordan Hawkins looks pretty good. Do they just rebuild around those three guys? Plus whatever assets they get for Zion and Ingram and McCollum. I don't know.
I tend to agree with you. And this is something, I guess, it's probably not easy for a lot of people out there, but I'd be trying to get what I can for my Zion rookies now. I don't think they're going up. all the data is showing nothing.
All right, great.
Yeah.
That is perfect. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So his silver PSA 10 population is 1,800.
Mm-hmm.
It last sold for $215, so double the price of a Bradley Beal if we're going to talk about distressed assets.
Yep.
That is 3 1/3 times less than a SGA.
Yep.
So I'm actually on the polar end of this, and I feel like actually I've had this opinion for a little. I would just say I've had it consistently over the last couple of years. At what point does this card become a good buy? Like, how much more can this card go down? I think that's what I'm really getting to here.
I think we're about to find out.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's gonna drop below that 200.
And I think if it goes to below 200, it just becomes an instant purchase and you just have to buy and you just have to just throw all of your money onto the poker table.
25% over the last year, 46% over the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And look, even in the last 3 months, it's down. It just keeps going down.
So actually, it's already been sub 200. There was a sale for 182, 190,
and 190, and then it's up a little bit. Yeah.
And there was like another 195 in there too. So yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not crazy to say this is going to go below 200. He actually came back the other day, had a breakaway dunk. I was joking to like my buddy about this, saying, "How can you be sitting on the shelf for, a month or whatever he did, and then come back and do a 360 jam?" I just feel like these guys are so freakishly athletic. It's almost not funny. Another Zion card that I wanted to talk to you about too. This is from IT_sports cards. This is on Instagram. This is the Panini Downtown PSA 10 from 2020. Now,
Okay.
basically, what he was saying was a lot of people have lost money on Zion, and if you bought in peak, yeah, you've lost an absolute ton.
Of course, yeah.
If you're buying on the downward, however, is this actually a really nice little pickup? So
What was
my
the last
response,
sale on this?
he actually didn't say what he purchased it for. So my response to this is you purchase this card, you put it into your vault, and in 5 years later you get it out and then you look at it. You don't stress about it week in and week out for the next 5 or 10 years. I think this is one of these cards that is always going to hold significant value. That's how I feel about these cards.
But if in times of crisis, people do sell.
Yeah, but I think there's going to be cards that people are going to value long term. And look, I could be wrong about this. And Downtown, I could be wrong about this. But my biggest hobby regret in the last 12 months was there was a PSA 10 Anthony Davis Kaboom for sale for 600, and I lowballed the guy, and he said no. And I'm still kicking myself over that. Yeah. I think it's one of those things. You buy it, you put it away, you get it out in 10 or 20 years, and it is what it is. I just think I'm going to put that into that same sort of thing. So if this guy's picked up a bargain, it's just, it doesn't matter that it's Zion Williamson. He's going to go up and down. There's some stuff that's going to do really well.
All right. So let's, for the proverbial giggles, I've gone into our lovely card ladder.
What do you got for me, mate?
A Zion Kaboom from 2019.
Sure.
Last sold 1,800, pop 26. Would you pay almost $2,000 for a Zion Kaboom? Rephrase, if that was available for 1,500, would you grab it?
So my problem at the moment is that, so if I'm answering you honestly,
yep.
Nikola Jokic at the moment for a silver PSA 10, population 178, is currently trading at 2,800, which I know is a different price point.
Yep.
But I'm using air quotes, but it's only an extra $1,200, right? And so actually the problem at the moment is, this is not a secret. I've been trying to buy a Jokic now for a little while. The problem is, even if you offer people comps at the moment, they're turning it down.
Yeah.
And so
okay,
we're segueing really hard.
No, it's an interesting segue to.
We're moving into a different conversation. But what I'm trying to say is I think this card is really good value at the moment, to the point that people are actually turning down comp offers. So, that's my answer to your question. I think that's a lot of money, and can you actually spend your money better elsewhere? The other one that we could really quickly touch on, which I think we'll talk more about next week, is Giannis rookie cards. So they're diving hardcore at the moment.
Yeah, so I've seen a couple of
they've gone down 50%.
Concerning one. Yeah, I was looking for the Zion Downtown as well to see what this person was
roughly paying.
Yeah. So for the 2019, last sold was basically $2,000. So the card letter, $2,000 US. Pop 43 on the 2019 Downtown, not the 2020.
See, the way I look at that, that's almost 75% of a Jokic rookie. Do you know what I mean? That's in my head.
They're
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, agreed. And are they different types of investments though?
Yeah, I definitely think so. But at the same time, it's not that far out of a ballpark conversation. Do you know what I mean?
You're spot on. You're more than spot on. That's yeah.
All right, we got one more topic for today's show, Adam. We're going to tie this up, and we are going to do the Sacramento Kings, just because I feel like it.
Very
indulgent. Fired their coach, which I was a little bit upset about. However, they have put together a very nice winning streak since he's been fired. The other thing to talk about too is Devin Carter has finally made his debut this season, and I have to admit, I'm really liking what I see from this guy. It's all hustle, defense, little bit of 3-point shooting. Actually, their on-off numbers with Keon Ellis on the court is just outstanding. So I more wonder if they just needed to play more of him in their lineups. But whatever, they beat the Celtics recently.
Okay.
So I think there's a little bit to be optimistic about in terms of the Sacramento Kings. I was not this optimistic a month ago. Let me put it to you this way. So
yeah.
And while we're doing that, we are going to look at De'Aaron Fox, just because I haven't looked at his prices for a little while, and it's my show. So let's do it, Ad. How do you say? Yeah,
I like it. Let's finish. Yeah. Finish up with De'Aaron Fox.
Population 593. Last sold for 157. Man, this is down bad. I haven't looked at this for a while. That shocked me. $157 in the last 6 months. He's down 7%. In the last year, he's down 41%. I mean, okay, that's what, $25 more than a Bradley Beal. That is really juicy, actually.
It's an interesting.
Look, I can't say this is if it's a buy, hold, or sell. You know what I'm going to say. I'm too biased, so I'm just going to leave this to you.
Yeah. 593 pop.
Look, just for disclosure, I was paying 600 Aussie for these, and I was like, look at me, I'm getting a good deal. So
I think he's undervalued, but I also have my concerns with the team.
Yeah, they're not structured perfectly.
Yeah, I have my issues with their ability to succeed, and as I've said countless times, I think there is a level, especially in a smaller market, where team success is a thing. So if Sacramento can't sort of make inroads into the playoffs, I think that could hurt Fox's value.
Yeah.
That said, $150 for this guy, I'm buying a Fox over a Beal. That's for sure.
That's right. It's pretty close to the price point, isn't it?
And and the population is not out of control.
I get what you're saying with that. If I'm going to be a Kings homer, though, Keegan Murray's still emerging, and I think this Devin Carter kid could really help them. I think their draft history has been terrible, and I think all they need to do is get somebody that can actually play in the rotation, and that is like a very positive thing for the Kings organization. I think this kid's going to play, so yeah. I think there's a bit of optimism there. Yeah.
Do you not? I'll put my my Lakers homer hat on.
Hit me.
Well, De'Aaron Fox did ask for a trade before the coach got fired.
I don't know about all that stuff. I'm not too sure what to believe in that space.
I think Fox is one of those. Like Fox is great, and I think he loves Sacramento. But I feel like it became because he's the floor general. He's the leader. Do you know what I mean? Like. If it's him or the coach, and the coach went, so they want to keep Fox.
Okay, so to take that point, let's just also illustrate here. The Sacramento Kings drafted Marvin Bagley instead of Luka because they already had De'Aaron Fox. So another way of saying that is they chose De'Aaron Fox over Luka. Mm-hmm. They then chose De'Aaron Fox over Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
And now they've chosen De'Aaron Fox over Mike Brown. So, like, let's just get this straight.
A couple of those choices were probably questionable.
But what I'm trying to say is, like, let's just like sort of get this straight where De'Aaron Fox sits in the hierarchy of the Kings. I kind of feel like he's like the alpha in that organization. So
yeah, that's like when Kobe said, "Trade me to the Clippers."
Yeah,
yeah,
he got what he wanted after that, didn't he? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I don't think he requested a trade. I actually think they just fired the coach because they didn't like him. Like, again, that's a very Sacramento thing to do. They just fire coaches. Like,
yeah, true. A bit,
anyway.
Yeah. As far back to Fox, as far as a buy, hold, sell, I think he's a buy at that price.
I think I should probably pick one up. Anyway, all right, let's tie this off. Otherwise, this is going to be me talking about the Sacramento Kings. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Adam, for a very lovely afternoon.
It's been great.
We are broadcasting early this week just because of our own social calendars. Look at us as social summer. Butterflies.
It is. Yep. It's January. It's the start of the year.
Aren't you going to the cricket today?
I am off to the cricket this evening.
Is it undercover or open?
It is. It's at Marvel Stadium around the corner. So
they'll close the roof?
The roof has been closed all day.
Okay. I was going to say, great, because it's raining right now.
There's definitely no floods in the ground. Outside, maybe not so much. I might need to take an umbrella to the game.
Have a great day, everybody. Take care of yourselves.
Thanks, guys.